Who is greater? Who is greater? Is it the Ooni of Ife or Nirisha, right? Or the Igbakeji Orisha, the Alaafin of Oyo? Let's talk about it in this video. Hi guys, and welcome to this channel. Now, when the late Ikubaba Yeye Obalamide Adeyemi was the Alaafin of Oyo before he joined his forefathers in 2022, this man was the longest serving Alaafin of Oyo, having ascended the throne back in 1970. Now, Oba Enitan Ogunwusi became the Ooni of Ife in 2015. Years before, decades after Obalamide Adeyemi, who saw the reign of the previous Ooni, Oba Sijuade. Now, Oba Sijuade, this is history class, guys, because in the wake of what is happening now between the 46th Alaafin of Oyo, Oba Abimbola Akim Owade, and Ojajatu, Oba Enitan Ogunwusi, I feel like it is important we take a trip down history lane, because a lot of persons are saying, oh, this is who has the higher supremacy. This is the person we should give all the honor and the respect and whatever to. Now, let us continue this history class. Welcome to class. As I was saying, Oba Sijuade and Obalamide Adeyemi, they didn't have a cordial relationship, contrary to whatever you might have thought. In fact, the last time an Ooni visited the palace of the Alaafin of Oyo was in 1937. That was decades before Obalamide became the Alaafin of Oyo. Are you following me? Now, in 2016, a year after Ogunwusi's coronation, he visited the then Alaafin, Obalamide. He went there twice. He went in January and he went again in May. Both times, the Alaafin of Oyo was ecstatic. He was like, thank you for breaking the more than 70-year-long jinx, between these highly rated monarchs. He said that he was happy that there is some sort of unification of the Obas in Yoruba land. And this was thanks to Onirisha. Remember then that when Ojajatu became king, persons had issues because he was not rating himself. Now, the thing is, historically, Onis, they don't leave their palaces. What were they? They were the spiritual lords over the old Yoruba land. So they were not into politics or the helm of affairs of the states. They had the Obalufe to be doing that. Are you following my story, guys? They had the Obalufe to be doing that. So their own was to what? Adele Odua. We'll get to the Odua part, because the argument is Yorubas came from Oduduwa, who settled in Ile-Ife after his sojourn from Edo. Are you following the story? Thank you. Now, the Onis, typically, they don't leave their palaces. So there was no reason why the Oni should visit the Alaafin. What happened in 1937 was just some sort of courtesy visit. And because we were not used to seeing, before 2015, we were not used to seeing the Ooni of Ife in every event. Oba Sijuade was an icon. You just hear of him, you don't see him. The late Oba Sijuade. You just hear, you don't see him. There's nothing that concerns him with one event happening in one place or in that place or in this one. He held himself in such esteem. Which was why, or he held himself in tradition. Let me not say in such esteem, but he held solely to tradition. Which is why people had problems with Ooni of Ife attending every event. They will call him, you are not sending your staff, you are there in person, not your staff of office, You're there in person, you're honoring this invite, you're honoring that invite. People had issues with that, but we've come to understand that that is how he wants his own reign to be. We've come to accept it and love him for that. Right? Now, let's pause. Let's go back to before 1937. Let's go back to when we had Oduduwa and Oromiyan, his grandson. Now, when Oduduwa came to Ile-Ife, he had a son, right? Now, he had just one son. This his son now had 7 children, according to history. 5 princes and 2 princesses, right? His princes sojourned, left Ile-Ife, where their grandfather was. That is Oduduwa. Oromiyan now went to establish himself in Oyo. Do you understand? Oyo was not even an empire then, but it was there, and it became the Alaafin of Oyo. So, if there was no Oduduwa, the spiritual father, where the Yoruba land spiritually migrated, and then decided to establish themselves. Then we now had the Alake, we had somebody in Ketu, we had somebody in Benin. You know how they now distributed. If you follow the story, 5 princes, they went to different places to settle, right? And we had Oromiyan, who was his last born, the last born of Oduduwa's son, and the strongest. Right? So when he established himself, remember that the Ooni did not used to go anywhere. Oduduwa didn't have anywhere to be going. Right? It was the Alaafin, and then he had some other persons who were doing his job. Now, when Oromiyan got to Oyo kingdom, he made it an empire. How did he make it an empire? He conquered. He started doing politicking. He started having structures in place. Right? Traditions, cultures, festivals. He had chiefs. He had, he was going, and then people were coming to pay tributes. He had the Ilari, he had Balogun, he had the Yellow Day, and all of these vassals, and people were going to collect money and tributes for him, and he grew in power, making him the political, commercial, military base of the Yoruba land. In fact, we were not even Yoruba land. We were all just, each doing their own thing. So this unified Yoruba language that we're even all speaking is from Oyo. Do you understand? So as much as Ooni or Ife, Ile-Ife, is the spiritual seat of the Yoruba land, the political, cultural, military zone or military seat of Yoruba land was in the Oyo Empire. Oyo became an empire, spreading as far as Ghana. Some other West African country went to Togo. That was when they had the Dahomey War and all of those things. You understand? This is history class. So who is greater? That's what we are trying to establish here. But are you following it? Oduduwa. Oromiyan was Oduduwa's grandson. So if you are looking at it from that, there would have been no Oromiyan, no political military base, nothing for other Yoruba lands to take, precepts for, to take their culture and say, oh, we are going to have chiefs, we are going to have this, we are going to have that from. If Oromiyan did not happen, most importantly, if Oduduwa did not happen. Now, there are some arguments that, well, Oduduwa was not Ooni. It was just there. Which is why Ooni of Ife are referred to as Arole Oduduwa. They were holding the fort. Because when all of Oduduwa's grandson and his son, they all left, and he was going to die, he needed somebody to be there. So he puts in somebody from the now ruling royal house. Do you understand? There, that, okay, Role, hold the fort. Which is why people are now arguing and saying, we are not going to give your family that sort of respect you are expecting from Oduduwa's descendants. Oromiyan Oyo is Oduduwa's descendants. Do you understand? People are now saying it is the throne, it is the seat, not the person that you are respecting by giving him that honor. Thank you for coming to my TED Talk. Now I want to hear from you. Who do you think is greater? I have established different stories. Because the late Alaafin and Ooni of Ife had a cordial working relationship. Now, when Owade now came in 2025, he has now come to say, I am here to establish what is essentially the norm. The Alaafin is the powerful one. This is the seat of culture and power and military. Stay in your zone. I'm not asking you to come and visit me. I will not see you in an event and bow for you. Because what are you? You're an emissary of my ancestors. My ancestors put you there as an emissary. You are not one of us. That is where we are now currently. And this has now put a discord between the sort of ceasefire that Oba Lamidi, Iku Baba Yeye, and Ooni Risha or Jajatu Adimula, what they had. Like their kind of treaty. It has now broken it. Do you understand? Because Ooni wanted there to be some sort of unity. No one is above the other person. Which is why the Ooni of Ife had no problem saying he wants to install Okonlomo of Yoruba land, Okonlomo of Oodua. He didn't have a problem saying, oh, Sanusi, you are a noble son of the land. Come and become Okonlomo. Because there was some, if you know, it felt like there was some sort of understanding and this thing between the Ooni or the Ile-Ife kingdom and the Alaafin's palace. But no, or the palace of the Alaafin. But no, Owade is saying you are not going to look down on me. Or maybe Owade is, this is me now talk, maybe he's feeling that, maybe Oba is feeling that because you were there way before me, you think you can now do seniority. And he's trying to say, no be by who first come. Oh. You understand? Not because you've been there since 2015 and I just ascended 2025. You're not going to accord me the same respect we were according my ancestors. You know the kind of power and this thing that Oba Lamidi wielded now. Baba was there for 57 years. Igbakeji Orisha. He was second in. And another people saying, Ooni Risha. This is Orisha Gogo. The Alaafin Orisha is what's the English word for Orisha now? Deity, the god. They are saying Ooni Risha is the god. The Alaafin is the second in command of the god or to the god. You are Igbakeji Orisha. The Ooni is the Orisha. Do you understand? People are now saying no. Calling them Ooni Risha is meaning that Aborisha. Referring to, like this, the worshipper of the god, referring to the story that I said that it was when Oduduwa wanted to die. That was when he put somebody in the family of the worshippers to come and hold the fort following his passing so that they are not going to be without a caretaker. That was why they now, some people are arguing that somebody was there by virtue of ancestral lineage. Somebody became a king by virtue of politicking and people just handing you something. Referring to the Ooni. So they are saying Ooni Risha does not mean you are the Orisha. It means you are Aborisha. You are a worshipper of the deity. So if you are a worshipper of the deity and the second in command of the deity is somewhere, you are definitely going to answer to the second in command of the deity that you are worshiping in the absence of the deity. See word. This is such a very clumsy thing. And I don't think, because some persons are saying, oh, it's Oba, it's the current Oyo State governor, Obama, King, how am I calling him king now? Governor Seyi Makinde, that is the one that is making all of this very hard. That can we not say that there's politics involved in all of these things, and people are pitting them against each other, and it's politicking because it was Makinde that insisted that they should be the Alaafin of Oyo. Like why are we seeing the influence of a king, of a governor in the making of a king, and all of those things? So the story, I don't think is going to, because I cannot even say that, maybe they're going to invite maybe politicians or governors to come and talk about it or finish all of it. Maybe who is now going to, or is it maybe the Olu of Warri or the Oba of Benin? Maybe they are the ones that they are going to now talk about it. Or the descendants of the other grandsons of Oduduwa. Maybe those Obas, because these are the highly rated A-list Obas we have in the Yoruba kingdom. And they are now at odds, which was what Ogunwusi tried to avoid when he carried himself. The Ooni does not live, like I mentioned. He intentionally carried himself to meet their Alaafin to say, Baba, make we talk. But that is now not happening here. I'd like to hear from you, Shao, in the comment section. Did you enjoy this schooling? Did you enjoy class today? Let me know if you did. Or if you have varying opinion, because I feel like history, and especially the Yoruba history, is not one that we have written. It's just passed down, mouth to mouth. So along the way, some parts must have been lost in translation or in understanding. So if you have a different opinion, if you read some book, or maybe you've dug deeper in history and you have a better understanding of this situation between the Alaafin and the Ooni of Ife, I would like to hear from you. But I have always been led to believe that the Ooni of Ife had some sort of say, or that both of them were, of course, they are kings in their own right, but mutual respect, but that Yorubas respect the Ooni sort of more than kind of respect they will give, given that is our source now. Of course, you would respect your, you won't die. If you forget your source, what will you do? You will dry up, river that forgets the source. So that's what I've been led to believe, but I'd like to hear from you in the comment section. Thank you for watching this video. If you enjoyed it, like it, and share your views in the comment section. I'll be waiting for you there.